Part 154. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1531. Chapter 1531 Extra chapter of Xiaofeng and his wife, 57. 11 Zhu stopped talking and remained silent. He did not answer Yu Lingfeng's questions, but just stared at the starry sky at night. Yu Lingfeng sat down next to 11 Zhu, and the two of them started talking to each other. I don't know how long we chatted before Yu Lingfeng came out of 11 Zhu's room. When Yu Lingfeng came out, 11 Zhu's mood had improved a lot. Yu Lingfeng also knew the things about Kenyon's Li Dongyu. Although Yu Lingfeng doesn't understand emotions that well, he is at least experienced in this aspect, and he knows more than 11 Zhu, a cold machine. When Yu Lingfeng returned to the room, Xia Ying and Xiao Jin were already asleep, and Yu Lingfeng was about to go to bed. Xia Ying woke up again in a daze, crawled into Yu Lingfeng's arms, and asked vaguely, "How is 11 Zhu?" Yu Lingfeng placed a gentle kiss on Xia Ying's forehead and replied in a low voice, "Much better." Xia Ying moved and fell asleep quickly. After about half a month, Qianyin's, who had been quiet for a while, gradually began to appear in the public eye again. Along with it, Qianyin's new album was released. Before the new album was released, Qianyin's exploded. 2 title songs were released, and Qianyin's also admitted that they were written for the 2 most important people in his life. One is called So-Called Love and the other is called The Approximate Lover. One is soothing and melodious, and the other is sad. In Approximate Lovers, Qianyin's recorded his own original voice. "I would like to dedicate this song to the unique Li Dongyu in the world." During the new album press conference, the media asked Qianyin's why the title of the song dedicated to Li Dongyu was similar to Lovers. Wasn't their previous relationship not Lovers? Qianyin's raised the corners of his mouth and smiled bitterly, because it is a higher level relationship than Lovers. Qianyin's also said that the person who probably understood him best in his life has been lost. Although the agency had previously stated that it was not allowed to ask questions about relationships, reporters who were bolder still asked, "Since you love him so much, why did you break up with Li Dongyu?" The manager started to cover up, saying that he only answered music-related questions. At this time, Qianyin's behind him replied calmly, "Because I love him, but it is not the love of a lover, so I am close to a lover, but not a true lover." The field was quiet for 10 seconds before someone started asking questions one after another. Since Approximate Lovers is dedicated to Li Dongyu, then who is the song So-Called Love dedicated to? Qianyin's was quiet for a long time, looking at the reporter's camera and saying nothing for a long time. The cameras kept flashing, and all reporters' acuity was dialed up. The name Qianyin's was about to say must be a big news. Some people have even excitedly made mental drafts of how they should write the report when they get back. However, the broker came to the rescue again. Until the end, Qianyin's did not say who the song So-Called Love was written for. Finally, the press conference ended. Qianyin's was surrounded by a group of people, and they were still asking who the song was written for. At first, Qianyin's still didn't say. This scene quickly became a hot search on Weibo. Netizens are always powerful and mysterious, and began to analyze the reasons why Qianyin's and Li Dongyu broke up based on all Qianyin's performances, as well as the content of Qianyin's songs and lyrics. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1532. Chapter 1532 Extra chapter of Xiaofeng and his wife, 59. I didn't have similar experiences before, so I couldn't write touching love songs, but then I had an unforgettable love, so I naturally had material to write about. Yu Lingfeng replied calmly. Xia Ying nodded and listened to the song quietly. Yu Lingfeng glanced at the direction of 11 Zhu's room. The lights were on. 11 Zhu should be alone in the room. Maybe like Xia Ying, he was also listening to Qianyin's new album. Xia Ying's new album has come out. Before the release, there was no warning. Xia Ying didn't reveal anything on the internet. She just said in a Weibo post a long time ago that she would return to the music industry, but since there has been no news since then. Fans did not expect that in the early morning of an ordinary Sunday, Xia Ying's new album would be released. Weibo immediately informed netizens, and at the same time, major music websites began to list Xia Ying's new album. The name of the new album is Across Time and Space, and there are 7 songs in total. According to Xia Ying's words on Weibo, these 7 songs are written for the people she loves. My parents, my friends, and my lover. One of the songs written for Xiaojin also included Xiaojin's cute voice. As soon as Xiaojin's voice came out, the eardrums of netizens were shocked. Oh my god! Xia Ying finally released a song. I have been waiting for 7 years, and it is worth it to wait for Xia Ying's 7 songs. The new songs are all of high quality, and they are worthy of being produced by Xia Ying. They are awesome. I thought I was dreaming, but when I went to Weibo, I found out it was true. So there are benefits to sleeping late, but now the player is overcrowded and I can't get in at all. As soon as Xia Ying's new album was released, celebrities in the music industry also began to promote it. Qian Yin's, I must support Boss Xia's new song. Liang Ye, support, support. Jun Chenai, if you don't sing, that's enough, it's a blockbuster. Xiaojin playfully started playing Xia Ying's new song on her phone, then hugged Yu Lingfeng's thigh and said, "Daddy, is mommy a star?" Yu Lingfeng paused and looked down at Xiaojin, who looked serious. Why do you ask? Because today teacher Xiaofang in the kindergarten asked Xiaojin to get a mom's autograph for her. Isn't it only celebrities who sign autographs for others? Xiaojin asked seriously. Your mother is a musician, not a star, she is a celebrity. Xiaojin nodded as if she understood. Then why do others call mom a goddess? Xiaojin looked at the comment section of the song and found that many were calling goddess Xia Ying, so she was very puzzled. Because they all like your mother. Yu Lingfeng answered patiently. Xiaojin nodded, so many people like mom, I'm so happy. By the way, where is your mother? Yu Lingfeng looked around and realized that he didn't see Xia Ying as soon as he entered the door. Mama is playing on the computer in the room. Xiaojin said. Yu Lingfeng took Xiaojin's hand and took Xiaojin to find Xia Ying. I found that Xia Ying was really sitting in front of the computer, typing on the keyboard, looking very serious, and she was not aware of the approach of Yu Lingfeng and Xiaojin. Yu Lingfeng patted Xia Ying on the shoulder. Xia Ying was stunned and turned to look at Yu Lingfeng and the little Xiaojin beside her. Yu Lingfeng leaned forward to see what Xia Ying was writing in front of the computer, and then frowned as she looked at it. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1533. Chapter 1533 Extra Chapter of Xiaofeng and His Wife, 60. What's this? Yu Lingfeng asked. Xia Ying smiled and said, I'm writing a novel. Writing a novel? Yu Lingfeng looked at Xia Ying with a serious face, not like he was joking. When did you start thinking about writing a novel? Yu Lingfeng sat down next to Xia Ying, and Xiaojin climbed onto Yu Lingfeng's lap and sat down, blinking at Xia Ying with her big watery eyes. The new album has been released, and I feel like I won't be writing new songs during this period, so I really want to try writing a novel and write down the story of the two of us. Yu Lingfeng raised his eyebrows, looked at Xia Ying, and smiled lightly. Okay, then I will be the first to see it. Xia Ying nodded, and then started to push Yu Lingfeng. Okay, you go out first, you sit next to me, I have no idea at all. Yu Lingfeng spread his hands helplessly and took Xiaojin out. As he walked, he said, "Your mother is going to start creating art, so she has driven us away." Xiaojin was still confused. "Daddy, what is a novel?" "It's just storybooks. The ones Xiaojin read when she was a child can all be called novels. It's just that the ones Xiaojin read are novels for children, while the ones written by your mother are novels for adults." Xiaojin nodded in understanding. "That mom is so awesome." "Yes, your mother is the best mother in the world." "Yes." Xiaojin nodded in agreement. "Okay, since your mother doesn't want us anymore, Dad will take you to a good place." "What's a good place?" Xiaojin was so happy that her eyes shone and she hurriedly asked Yu Lingfeng. "Go to your 12th cousin's house." Xiaojin's happy little face suddenly became decadent again. "Ah, what fun things are there at 12 cousin's house? He also has a laboratory at home." Hearing the word laboratory, Xiaojin's face brightened up again, and she hurriedly followed Yu Lingfeng out of the house. Xia Ying has wanted to write a novel recording the love story between herself and Yu Lingfeng for more than a day or two. She just happened to have time recently, so she started to prepare. Xia Ying sent the manuscript she had written during this period to Ye Xiaoxun to read. In terms of online writing, Ye Xiaoxun is a great master after all, so Xia Ying wants to refer to Ye Xiaoxun's suggestions. Ye Xiaoxun was confused when he saw the document Xia Ying gave him, and asked Xia Ying, "What is this?" Xia Ying typed back to her, "Please show me the novel I wrote." Ye Xiaoxun's eyes lit up. "You want to write a novel?" "Yeah, you can help me refer to it first. I think it can be published at some time, and preferably it can be made into a movie and acted out." "Okay, let me help you take a look." Xia Ying sent Ye Xiaoxun a first draft of only 10,000 words. It was just the beginning of the story. Xia Ying wanted Ye Xiaoxun to take a look at her writing and structure. If there were no problems, she planned to continue writing. After about 20 minutes of touching, Ye Xiaoxun replied to her after carefully studying Xia Ying's works. "Oh my God, I only knew that you were very good at Chinese in high school, but I didn't expect that you had such a talent for writing novels." Xia Ying smiled. She also liked literature before. Most people who liked literature had literary dreams, but Xia Ying gave up this small interlude in front of music. "Thinking about it now, I want to try again, but I don't know if it's too late. However, once you start, it shouldn't be too late." End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1534. Chapter 1534 Extra Chapter of Xiafeng and His Wife, 61. It's very well written, really good, I can't find any faults at all. If you didn't say it was written by you, I would have thought it was written by some great literary and artistic person. If you finish the manuscript, you must be the first to show it to me. Ye Xiaoxun sent a few more messages when he was excited. She is not being polite, nor is she encouraging Xia Ying. Although Ye Xiaoxun is a very gentle person, when it comes to writing, good is good and bad is bad. Ye Xiaoxun has never been good at lying or being partial. Ye Xiaoxun really likes Xia Ying's writing style and stories, that's why he praised her so much. He also said that you should have whetted my appetite. I am looking forward to the next storyline. Xia Ying smiled, "Okay, I will finish writing it as soon as possible, and you can help me read it when the time comes. I know a few good publishing houses and will arrange publishing for you when the time comes. Then thank you in advance." After Xia Ying and Ye Xiaoxun finished chatting, they started creating again. Xia Ying writes very slowly, because she is writing her own story. She is recalling while writing. Sometimes when she recalls some sweet details, she suddenly forgets that she is still writing, stops what she is doing, and her thoughts wander far away. When I came back to my senses later, a long time had passed. In the evening, Yu Lingfeng brought Xiao Jin back. Xiao Jin was grinning as soon as he came back. Xia Ying asked Yu Lingfeng, where did you take Xiao Jian? Why is the little guy so happy? I went to Chu Shenming's home. Chu Shenming took him to visit the laboratory. He pestered Chu Shenming and asked a lot of questions. He felt that his worldview had been refreshed again, so he was very happy. Yu Lingfeng glanced at Xiao Jin, who was still jumping up and down happily, and then said, Chu Shenming also said that Xiao Jin is a rare little genius, and planned to train Xiao Jin in drug manufacturing. He said that he would do it in the future, make a huge contribution to the development of mankind. Xia Ying was delighted after hearing this. That's good. Unexpectedly, Yu Lingfeng had a gloomy face and said angrily, what's better? My Xiaojin must inherit his father's legacy and engage in astronomy in the future to explore the mysteries of the universe. How can it be limited to one Earth? Xia Ying was ashamed. I said you looked so bad when you came back. Could it be that you and my 12th cousin had a quarrel over this matter? Xia Ying can already imagine that scene. It is nothing more than a process in which the top geniuses in their respective fields fight each other after discovering another potential successor. They all hope that Xiaojin will develop in his own field. Yu Lingfeng curled his lips and said, I didn't want to argue with him, it's just that he was unreasonable. Xia Ying suppressed a smile and poked Yu Lingfeng's gloomy face. Then how did you reason with him? I said if you want an heir, just give birth to one. I have the final say on my son. Xia Ying. It's really a very euphemistic way of reasoning. At this time, Xiaojin ran over and said to Xia Ying, Mom, I want to play the piano. Go. Xia Ying patted Xiaojin on the head, and Xiaojin ran away happily. Xia Ying looked at Xiaojin's back and gave Yu Lingfeng a malicious smile. By the way, Xiaojin also likes music very much. Ah, I think he can also inherit my career. Yu Lingfeng's face darkened again. He looked at Xia Ying with a hint of slyness in his eyes. You can find an heir. Let's have another one. I've already booked Xiaojin. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1535. Chapter 1535 Extra Chapter of Xiafeng and his wife, 63. Daddy, Mommy, open the door quickly. Yu Lingfeng in the room paused and stopped moving. Xia Ying trembled and started looking for scattered clothes. Yu Lingfeng got up from Xia Ying with a dark face. After getting dressed, she went to open the door for Xiaojin. After opening the door, Xiaojin looked up at the ashen-faced Yu Lingfeng, pouted, and asked in confusion, Papa, why did you open the door for me so late? Yu Lingfeng didn't say anything. He just stretched out his hand and lifted Xiaojin in like a chicken, then closed the door with a clang. Xia Ying's face flushed. She glanced at Yu Lingfeng awkwardly, then went to bed with her head down. After Yu Lingfeng took Xiaojin to bed, he discussed with Xiaojin seriously, Xiaojin, you are 5 years old. You should learn to sleep alone. Xiaojin blinked, tilted her head and asked, why? But Xiaojin has always slept with Mommy. It has always been the same since Xiaojin was born. Why did it suddenly change? Xiaojin doesn't understand. Xia Ying, who had her back turned to Yu Lingfeng and Xiaojin, was already blushing and covered herself with a quilt, refusing to listen to their conversation. But you have grown up now and will be a primary school student next year. If you still sleep with your parents, you will be laughed at by your classmates. Yu Lingfeng preached seriously. You can sleep in the room next door and decorate it as you like. Look, Daddy will take you to choose a home tomorrow, okay? Xiaojin thought carefully, and after weighing the pros and cons, she felt that Yu Lingfeng was right. He was already a big child and should have his own independent space. Oh well. Xiaojin nodded obediently, and Yu Lingfeng touched his little head, pursed his lips and smiled, expressing his appreciation for him. Xiaojin began to fall asleep. Xiaojin's sleep quality was very good and she fell asleep quickly. She fell asleep soon after and heard the sound of steady breathing. The next day, Yu Lingfeng really took Xiaojin to the home furnishing market to decorate Xiaojin's new room. Xiaojin personally selected a small bed, a small sofa, and some other storage boxes. Xiaojin was smiling and happy throughout the whole process. Not long after Yu Lingfeng and Xiaojin came back, all the things they bought were delivered to their door one by one. Yu Lingfeng and Xiaojin began to set up, and Xia Ying watched the whole process, smiling helplessly and shaking her head, and then went to her computer to write the unfinished novel. 11 Ju locked himself in the room for several days, and finally calmed down and came out. As soon as he came out, he saw the father and son, one old and one young, tinkering with something. 11 Ju leaned against the door frame and watched them decorating the home with great interest. "What are you doing?" 11 Ju scratched his head and asked. "Uncle Zihu, Dad, and I are decorating my new room." Xiao Jin answered 11 Ju with a smile. 11 Ju frowned and looked at the scene in front of him. As expected, Xiao Jin loves astronomy and geography. The whole room is filled with elements from the universe and planets. Zihu was wondering whether this was Xiaojin's idea or Yu Lingfeng's. "Uncle Zihu, do you think it looks good?" Xiao Jin ran over and hugged 11 Ju's thigh, asking excitedly. Zihu nodded and touched Xiaojin's hair. "It looks good, of course it looks good." "Uncle Zihu, will you go to the comic shop this afternoon?" "What's wrong?" Zihu asked. "I haven't read comics for a long time, I want to read comics." Xiaojin smiled brightly. 11 Ju was also infected by Xiaojin's smile and smiled. "Okay, Uncle 11 Ju will take you to the comic shop in the afternoon." Yeah. Xiaojin cheered. "I'm not feeling very well today. I only have one chapter. I'll see if it feels better tomorrow and make up for it." Cough. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1536. Chapter 1536 Extra Chapter of Xiafeng and His Wife, 64. In the afternoon, when 11 Ju and Xiao Jin went out, Xia Ying was surprised and put down the potato chips she was about to put to her mouth. "Huh? 11 Ju, where are you and Xiao Jin going?" Xia Ying originally wanted to ask 11 Ju how he was feeling, but with Xiao Jin there, it was inconvenient to ask. However, 11 Ju's complexion seemed to be recovering well, and he had probably come out of it. "I'm going to a comic shop. I haven't been there for a long time. I went over to have a look. Xiaojin happened to want to read comics, so she came with me." Zihu was in a good mood and explained, "By the way, we won't be back at noon. I'll take Xiaojin to eat at the newly opened Western restaurant, and I'll take Xiaojin back in the evening." "Okay, I got it, remember to come back early." Xia Ying smiled at them, then looked at their leaving figures and turned around. Zihu took Xiaojin's hand and took Xiaojin out. After arriving at the destination, Zihu parked the car and took Xiaojin to the comic store. Xiaojin quickly located the area where she wanted to read the Conan comic series, and then it was as if nails were driven into her feet and she could no longer move. 11 Ju looked at Xiaojin's engrossed expression, as if he saw himself when he first came into contact with comics. He shook his head and smiled helplessly, then walked to the service area and inspected the entire store. "Although I haven't been here for a while, it seems that the situation inside the store is still the same. There are mostly students, and most of them are girls." Zihu walked to the counter and asked about the recent situation. The deputy store manager began to tell Zihu everything. Zihu listened, nodded, and smiled. "Hey, by the way, boss, what happened to you the past few days? You haven't come to the store. Are you sick?" The deputy store manager is a short-haired girl. She is not tall and young. She has just graduated from college. Zihu recruited her, which is inseparable from the fact that the girl likes comics and the second dimension. 11 Ju looked up at the little girl's clear eyes and smiled lightly. It's just something happened at home. It has been dealt with. I have worked hard for you during this period. Do you want to grant you a few days of leave? That's not necessary, boss, you are too polite anyway. I read comics and anime at home during the holidays. If I need to ask for leave, I will tell you, boss. She smiled sweetly and turned back to Zihu, then turned her face sideways and glanced in Zyajin's direction. Hey, boss, what's the origin of that little baby you brought in just now? My friend's child is considered my godson. Wow, it's so cute. She turned to look at 11 Ju again. Can you go over and play? That kid looks like he stepped out of a comic book. He's cute and handsome. 11 Ju smiled and said, I'm afraid not. He's lost in thought right now. If you go over and disturb him, he might get angry. When he finishes reading, I'll bring it over for you to take a look at. That's okay. Why is this child so unique? Follow his father. His father must be very handsome. Yu Lingfeng's indifferent face appeared in 11 Ju's mind. That's needless to say. Asterisk. After coming out of the comic shop, Zihu took Zyajin to go to the Western restaurant. 11 Ju held Xiaojin with one hand and looked at his phone with the other, looking for something. Zyajin, are you sure that store is here? It was also Zihu's first time here. Zyajin said she wanted to eat at the newly opened Western restaurant, so Zihu brought her there. However, she never found the specific location. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1537. Chapter 1537 Extra chapter of Xiaofeng and his wife, 65. I'm sure, Xiao Kong said he's from here. Xiao Jin is serious. Zihu frowned, still staring at his phone, and then looked at the road signs around him. The map clearly showed that he had arrived, so why couldn't he find the store? How strange. Uncle Zihu. At this time, Xiao Jin suddenly tugged on 11 Ju's sleeve. 11 Ju stopped and looked down at Xiao Jin. Well, what's wrong? Is it that store? Zyajin pointed in a direction and asked Zihu. Zihu looked over. The door of the store was crowded with people, and there were people all around. You could also see filming machines and security guards in the crowd, who seemed to be filming a program. Zihu glanced at the signboard and his eyes lit up instantly. Well, that's the store. Zihu took Zyajin's hand and headed towards the store. Uncle Zyajin, what are they doing? Zyajin only saw a group of people in Wanjiang. The crowd was very noisy. From time to time, she could hear a few girls shouting, Qianyins is so handsome. Qianyins, I like you so much. Qianyins, I will always support you and the like. 11 Ju's body stiffened, as if he had been shocked by electricity. Even Xiaojin instantly noticed 11 Ju's change. Zyajin raised her head and asked Zihu, Uncle Zihu, what's the matter? 11 Ju did not answer. At this moment, his eyes were completely attracted by the boy with chestnut hair and warm smile in the Western restaurant. Through the glass window, 11 Ju saw Qianyin's fair profile and three-dimensional facial features, smiling at the camera with squinted eyes. They seemed to be filming a variety show, and Zihu reacted quickly. If Zihu guessed correctly, the name of this variety show should be Let's Eat Together. It has been filmed for 2 seasons, and the ratings of each season are very high. The program invites popular celebrities, and then randomly selects passers-by to have dinner with them. The celebrities in each episode are different, but they are all celebrities who are popular in real time. One of the purposes is to shorten the distance between fans and celebrities, so that fans can face their idols up close and even have meals together. The second purpose is to introduce some good gourmet restaurants. The restaurants participating in the recording in each episode are all popular, and there is an endless stream of people queuing up. Ziyu also saw on Weibo some time ago that the celebrity guest in this issue is Qian Yin's. Looking at this situation, the restaurant recommended in this issue is this Western restaurant. 11 Ju took a breath of cold air and didn't recover for a long time. Uncle Ziyu, what's the matter? Xiaojin saw that 11 Ju didn't answer her question for a long time, so she asked again. Only then did 11 Ju return to reality. 11 Ju forced out a forced smile, looked at Xiaojin, then knelt down and said to Xiaojin, Xiaojin, can we come back tomorrow? They are filming a program now, so there is no way to go in to eat. Yeah. Xiaojin was a little disappointed, looking in the direction of the restaurant, and then suddenly saw something. Her eyes suddenly lit up, she pointed at a place, and shouted to Ziyu as if cheering, it's my godfather. Uncle Ziyu, my godfather is there. Is he here to film the show? Then we can just talk to him. No. Before 11 Ju had time to interrupt Xiaojin, Xiaojin had already shouted over there, Godfather. Godfather. Qianyins frowned and looked out the window. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1538. Chapter 1538 Extra Chapter of Xiaofeng and his wife, 66. Qianyins quickly discovered the source of the sound. Xiaojin waved to him and called him Godfather. Qianyins smiled and walked out, and the camera followed. Now Qianyins is about to invite a passerby to have lunch, which fan is so lucky. As the voiceover explained, Qianyins had already walked out. Because of Qianyins' appearance, the fans outside became even more crazy. The noisy screams drowned out Xiaojin's childish godfather. Ziyu pulled Xiaojin and was about to leave. Who knew that Xiaojin had already let go of his hand and ran towards Qianyins on his own initiative. Ziyu's face darkened, but he had no choice but to follow. He can't just leave Xiaojin here. In fact, he really wants so much. Xiaojin ran towards Qianyins, Qianyins squatted down, and Xiaojin threw herself into Qianyins' arms. Godfather, are you filming a show? Xiaojin first kissed Qianyins on the cheek, and then asked. Qianyins nodded, yes, why did Xiaojin come here? At this time, the crowd had already begun to talk about Xiaojin, who appeared inexplicably. Oh my god, isn't this Xiaojin, Xia Ying's son Xiaojin? It's true, she's cuter in person than in the photo. What should I do if I really want to steal it home? Xiaojin calls Qianyins godfather? It seems that Qianyins and Xia Ying have a very good relationship. How can it be like a mutually exploiting relationship like what is posted on the internet? The media is really good at writing nonsense. Xiaojin is too cute. Uncle Ziyu brought me here to eat, but Uncle Ziyu's godfather is filming a show and I can't eat today. Xiaojin said. When Qianyins heard 11 Ju's name, he felt a little uncomfortable subconsciously, but he still covered it up and glanced in 11 Ju's direction, then pretended not to care and looked away. How about my godfather treat you to dinner today? Xiaojin immediately grinned, really? But godfather, aren't you going to film the show? Qianyin's eye followed and laughed, this program is about treating guests to dinner. Can Xiaojin be the little guest today? The director on the side had a dark face, and the fans who had already arranged it were also confused. Didn't you say that Qianyins would treat her to dinner today? How did this milk doll appear? Destroy the script. But with so many people watching, Qianyins was not easy to offend, so the director had no choice but to turn a blind eye. What's more, this child is not an ordinary person. He became popular on the internet for a while due to his good looks. Xia Ying's child, so it can be regarded as double the traffic and surprises. Xiaojin turned around and glanced at 11 Ju, who was expressionless and thinking about how to get out of this embarrassing situation. What about Uncle 11 Ju? Let's get together. Qianyin said. Good. Xiaojin smiled, and then ran over to tell 11 Ju the good news. Uncle Zihu, my godfather wants to invite us to have dinner together. Zihu just wanted to find a hole in the ground and crawl into it. He knows Murphy's law, the more you worry about something, the more likely it is to happen. 11 Ju smiled awkwardly, but Xiaojin, it would be better if we don't disturb your godfather's recording of the show. Do not bother. At this moment, Qianyin's voice suddenly sounded, interrupting 11 Ju's words. I have already negotiated with the director team. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1539. Chapter 1539 Extra Chapter of Xiafeng and His Wife, 67. Zihu was stunned and looked at Qianyin's. The moment their eyes met, their eyelashes trembled. The guests this time are you and Xiaojin. Qianyin's added. 11 Ju stopped talking. It should be said that he could not think of anything to refute. Xiaojin smiled carelessly, not knowing that her unintentional actions today would have such a qualitative change in the relationship between two people in the future. Xiaojin and 11 Ju entered the restaurant and sat in a box with Qianyin's. Apart from the waiter and the cameraman, there were only 3 of them. 11 Ju felt that the atmosphere was a bit solemn and had nothing to say, while Xiaojin beside him was still flipping through the menu with interest, thinking about what he would eat later. Qianyin's looked at 11 Ju quietly. The last time we met, he didn't look at him at all. Firstly, he was afraid that he would not be able to let it go, and secondly, he was afraid that 11 Ju had already let it go. What to eat? Qianyin's tried to break the dull atmosphere. The director said that since Qianyin's wants to change roles and scripts, this episode must be recorded to be topical. It cannot be too lifeless, at least it cannot be directed at Qianyin's. The result is disappointing. I want lamb chops, a Coke, and fruit salad. Xiaojin ordered a lot in one breath. Qianyin smiled, you are a snack food, can you eat it? Xiaojin nodded, yes, I might have eaten it. Xiaojin's innocence made the atmosphere much more cheerful. Qianyin's looked at 11 Ju again, what about you, what do you eat? Salad would be fine. Qianyin's frowned, just eat salad. Are you so full? Qianyin's chatted with 11 Ju naturally, as if the two were ordinary friends. Not too hungry. But Uncle Zihu, you only ate one sandwich in the morning. Xiaojin was silently trying to break things off. Zihu's expression changed and he thought, why is this child so upright? Don't you know that when adults are talking, children should not interrupt? Qianyin smiled faintly and said nothing. He just told the waiter, a lemon steak, a glass of orange juice, a grilled lamb chop, a cup of Coke, and a fruit pizza. Qianyin spoke the names of the above dishes very smoothly. Zihu was already shocked. After so long, he still remembers his own taste. He can tell what he likes when he opens his mouth. After a while, the dishes were served and everyone started to enjoy their lunch. But because of the filming of the program, 11 Ju always kept silent like a boring gourd, and Xiaojin only knew how to eat, so the initiative of speaking was thrown to Qianyin's. Because it's a variety show, you can't just eat it up. Even if it's a mukbang show, you still have to say a few words. Therefore, Qianyin's ate slowly while thinking about the topic. What are you doing? Zihu paused for a moment, and after finishing the food in his mouth, he looked up at Qianyin's and said, I opened a comic shop. Zihu comic shop. Qianyin's eyebrows are curved and he is smiling. 11 Ju twitched the corners of his mouth and nodded. Qianyin's pursed his lips and smiled, swallowing the unspoken words into his stomach. In the past, Zihu told Qianyans that he would open a comic shop in the future, called Zihu Comic Shop, so that he could read comics every day without having to pay. I thought it was a joke, but I never thought that 11 Jew would take it seriously. There are a lot of good comics in it. Xiaojin took the opportunity to advertise. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1540. Chapter 1540 Extra Chapter of Xiafeng and His Wife, 68. Ha ha ha. Qianyans was amused by Xiaojin's serious look. At this time, the director on the side conveyed a message to Qianyans, asking Qianyans to talk to Xiaojin and talk about Xiaoying. After all, Xiaoying is a magical being in the entertainment industry. Although she has never really integrated into the circle, she is recognized as a national goddess in the entertainment industry, and her popularity is almost as high as that of a top-tier actress. In addition, Xiaoying is a low-key person. Recently, except for promoting her new album, she rarely discloses her private life to the outside world. An interesting point is that during the period when Xiaoying was most popular, even though she was surrounded by paparazzi every day, she was not able to get any substantive information secretly photographed. Xiaoying's boyfriend, Xiaoying's wedding, Xiaoying's son, these major news would have been unknown to the outside world if Xiaoying hadn't taken the initiative to announce them. So, Xiaoying is also a magical existence. If Xiaojin can share her private Xiaoying with everyone, and share the most real Xiaoying under the altar with the public, the ratings of their program will definitely explode. After Qianyans received the message from the director team, he was also ready to follow their routine. After all, he was the one who violated the plan in advance, so no matter what, he couldn't let this show collapse. Xiaojin, where are you now? Qianyans began to chat with Xiaojin naturally, and gradually, he talked about Xiaoying. Mama is at home. What are you doing at home? Qianyans asked again. Xiaojin took a bite of the mutton chop, chewed it, thought about it, and then said after eating, Mama is either playing the piano or working in front of the computer. Work, what work? Have no idea. Xiaojin shook her head, Mama only said she was writing something, but I don't know what it is specifically. The director team saw that things were starting to develop in the direction they wanted, and they narrowed their eyes happily. What does Xiaojin usually do with her parents when she is at home? Daddy and Uncle Zihu will play chess with Xiaojin and do research. Mommy usually watches us play. Sometimes I will play the piano with Mommy. Mommy plays the piano very well. Qianyans smiled, while 11 Ju remained silent, quietly eating the steak on his plate. Doing research, what kind of research is Xiaojin doing at such a young age? What kind of research do you, Dad, usually do? The eyes of the director team lit up. Regarding Xiaoying's stunning husband Yu Lingfeng, he was also a figure that was hotly discussed by the people of China. Everyone said that Yu Lingfeng's beauty was what God would reward him with. During the period when Jun Chenai was the most popular, there were constant rumors about her. Netizens said that Yu Lingfeng's appearance was even more outstanding than that of Jun Chenai, and tens of millions of people even wrote in blood to beg Yu Lingfeng to make his debut. However, Yu Lingfeng is a very mysterious person, and the outside world cannot find out anything about him. Now that Yu Lingfeng's son has personally spoken out about that mysterious man, this is undoubtedly another breaking point. My daddy is so awesome, I can do everything. When Xiaojin talked about his father, his expression was filled with pride. My 12th cousin said that daddy is the most talented drug expert he has ever seen, and Uncle Zihu said that daddy is the most talented physicist he has ever seen. In short, my daddy is an all-rounder. Without him, I wouldn't be able to do anything. Things. Qianyans nodded, I agree very much with this. Your father is not a human being, he is simply a monster. Yeah, so I want daddy to teach me these things. End of this chapter.